Just a couple of comments. One is, as you all know, this was talked about for a long time. We've made great progress across the city with our schools, with a lot of infrastructure. And no matter who I talked to after we finished Southwest, we said, what is the next school? Everybody agreed Squantum School because of the age of the plant, the condition of some of the part of the building, they're not up to code, ADA, et cetera, et cetera. So what we see today is far more than just what a school building project is going on, but it's really a public works project as well. So when we looked at this project, we looked at it from all sides. There's public works involved, drainage project. We have drainage issues in the area. There's no point in adding to the burden, but let's fix it while we're at it. Putting some of the road changes in place for the drop-off. The modern day schools, the old days nobody drove to school, everybody walked to school. It's different, so we got a plan for that, so there'll be drop-off. Undergrounding utilities, on and on. This project looked at from every angle, and the city's spending far more than what the state reimbursement is because it's become a greater project all across. I think we have the best team in place, and you're going to be hearing from them shortly going through this. And I just ask everyone's patience during the coming months because it's going to get a little dirty, it's going to get a little messy, it's going to get a little noisy. But at the end of the day, the product is going to be pretty incredible for this community. So we're always going to be available. You'll hear from the team shortly after Councilor Harris, but they'll introduce all the players involved. As I say, we get the best team you could have in the Commonwealth. And over the years, the School Building Authority has commented to other communities, look what Quincy does. Follow that model and you'll be successful. So I'm proud to say that, not because of me, because all the people that are involved in this project to make this happen. And I'd gladly say as a comment as your mayor, this is our 5th school project without a Prop 2.5 override. That is unheard of in Massachusetts. So we're doing some good things in the city, we're doing it right, and we're doing it within our tax structure. So with that, I want to thank you. I'm going to be cutting out for another meeting. It's a comprehensive presentation tonight, and we will follow up to those that couldn't make it tonight to stay in touch. Again, there'll be contact numbers and names, but if there's ever an issue, feel free to reach out to the mayor's office at any time for any reason. With that, I'll introduce your councilor, Ward 6 Councilor Bill Harris.
This is a great New Year present as far as I'm concerned. The fact that we're now, this is 9 years in the making, when the mayor and we introduced it on the council. Every year we had to renew our application. They kept digging, the team, Paul Hines' group, the finance folks kept digging to make sure this school was going to be, it was going to take place. And this, when you see the plans, you already see the plans online, but what's going to take place is it's going to really make the learning here in Squantum such a better experience for the kids. So with that, I just want to say I also have the meeting to go to, and on the website, just email me. You can call me. Most of the time we work during the day, so just leave a message. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. If there's any issues while the project is taking place, while the construction's taking place, I know in the past with the other schools what took place. There's always somebody here on the premises if there's a problem during the construction period. And I have to reach out. Our mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is great for my community. This is great for all of our community here. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done to get this to take place. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, folks, at this time, I am going to ask Squantum guy, oh, not really, but you know, like me, a transplant, right? A transplant. And thank God I am a transplant, and you, Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, this is happening because of this man here too, as well, and all of everybody that's here. But before I give it to you, 1 second, I want to thank the committee, all the folks who went to meetings, the committee members, and I wasn't there because I felt that it was the community that needed to have the voice, not me to say, this is the way it should be done, or this is not the way it should be done. The way it should be done is, as that committee was giving suggestions and asking for what needed to be done, and it was from the people, and it had nothing to do with me. The only thing I did was beg a guy like Noel DeBona to make sure he voted for me, not for me, but voted for anytime we came and needed some extra money to make sure this was going to take place. And our community is going to look so much better than it was. Maybe 5 years from now, 4 years from now, when it's all settled and done. And I hope I'm around to see that. But hey, thank you, folks. And again, Happy New Year. Mr. Paul Hines, thank you.
Okay, good evening. This might not my first time before you, but perhaps to some people that weren't at the earlier meetings, you may see some repeated information. You're going to certainly see new information. The mayor and Councilor Harris both made reference to the committee, and what they're making reference to is the school building committee. That is a group that, by and large, made the decisions on what got us here today. It's constituted under the regulations of the MSBA. It comprised of a number of people, Superintendent Mulvey, Deputy Superintendent Perkins, Tina Cahill, Frank Santoro, Walter McDonald, myself, Steve Sylvia, your principal, Kim Wheelwright, there's another principal, another parent, Susan, escaping me, pardon? Vininsky. I wouldn't have got that anyways. So we're certainly grateful to them. Hours and hours and hours of their time when they had other jobs to do, this was laid on top of that. Everyone came in very willing, very cooperative, very knowledgeable, and we got an amazing design. Which leads me to Arrow Street, our partner, the design team, have been spectacular. They've been amazingly cooperative. PCA 360, the owner's project manager, they have been phenomenal. We worked with them at Southwest Middle School, and they are just truly professional. We have OPMs and other projects that we do, the police stations, De Cristofaro, well, no, you were De Cristofaro. Beechwood, several of the Mass School Building Authority accelerated repair projects with different OPMs. None of them come close to what PCA 360 does. We've recently brought onto the team Lee Kennedy company, a local Quincy Shore Drive company, a big player in the Boston construction market. After our solicitation for qualifications and our review of all the respondents, they certainly rose to the top. They've been great to work with so far. They're newer to the team. They came in, they've already come in with robust ideas and ideas for cost savings and resequencing and a fresh set of eyes, which has been welcomed. The newest person on the team, the newest company on the team is C. Norton Company. You can see C. Norton all over the city doing utility work. They won the bid for the undergrounding of the utilities around this facility to help enable us to move forward with the school project. I don't want to speak to too much of that, the sequencing and stuff, because the team will do that with much more intelligence than I will. But I do want to say some things up front to maybe alleviate some concerns or some issues that people may have. One of which, a number of years ago, many of you remember Patrick White, who was a student here at Squantum School, and he passed away. His classmates and the faculty at the time got together, planted a tree in his memory. I reached out, I spoke to Patrick's father, received his endorsement and support and approval. We've transplanted that tree off-site. It's now at one of the pocket parks at the corner of Standish and Bellevue Road, that triangular patch of land there, that park, to ensure that it remains healthy and safe and doesn't fall victim to the construction project. Similarly, we've reached out to several of the city departments who are going to be affected. It's not just the school committee, it isn't just a school. This is a community building, it's a community center. I've reached out to the city clerk's office about the need to relocate voting from now till the fall of 2027. The Quincy Recreation Department, they run the recreation program in the summer and back in the park, but they also run a winter program out of this gym. We've reached out to them. We're going to work with them on alternative programming. The 4th of July Parade Committee, Paula Glynn, Mike Bellotti, and that crew, The back of the park is going to be available. About 60% of it should be available at all times to the public, but it will impact the ceremonies after the parade and the parade route and other things. So we're working with them. The other pieces, we've already reached out to Michelle Handley at the Council on Aging and having begun the conversations with the school department on alternative site for the school gym classes. This gym is one of the first things to come down. There's limited space in the buildings that will remain that will have for like fine motor skills and that type of a thing. But for a more active, more robust gym class, we're looking at alternative sites. So I'll just raise that specter. We don't have all of the answers yet. The transportation, the hours, the days, that is in planning. I just want to raise it up front so you know that we are aware of it. I'm not saying we know everything. If there's something that I haven't raised, please feel forward to come forward and raise the issue so that we can address it. I also want to thank Al Grazioso and the Department of Public Works, because again, this isn't just a school project. It's become a DPW project as well. And you can see that Huckins Avenue already has the battle scars of a project. The gas line's gone into the ground, new water pipe is in the ground, they relined the sewer pipes. There's all of the infrastructure in Huckins Ave is being replaced now, both because larger services were needed to support our new building, but also because when we're done and Huckins Ave is finally paved, we don't want to dig it up again. Part of the school project is the widening of Mayflower Road in the stretch from Huckins to the first private home, and the widening of Huckins Avenue from Mayflower to Standish. There will be the bump outs for pedestrian safety at the crosswalks, but we'll be creating a parking lane on this side of the street so as to leave Huckins Ave free passage in the afternoon and the morning pickups. You know what chaos it is today. It's going to take some learning from everybody on the final project, because we're going to be reversing what you do. You're not going to be facing east and parking on Carmine side. You're going to be facing west and parking on the school side. That'll help to alleviate, reduce the number of times people are crossing the street, further holding up traffic, safety of those running across the street or walking across the street. Winslow Road, the paper street that divides the school land from the park land, will be activated for parent pickup and drop off as well in the long term. So definitely thanks to Al Grazioso and his team. They've coordinated with us as well on the utility, the electrical undergrounding, which is the project that actually began yesterday. And I'll speak to a little bit more on that. One of the things we committed to with the project was to save the 2 big oak trees in the front lawn. So we have committed to that. We've designed around them. We have a plan in place to protect them. But you will see them being culled. They do need to be pruned as a matter of good, healthy care of a tree anyways, but also to keep it back and keep them from getting broken during construction. So there will be some trimming of it. Will be done with the arborist and professionals. It won't be myself or anyone else with a hacksaw. And it's done, and the trees will be fertilized and nourished and checked on during the course of the construction. So the project team, those that we've discussed so far, and I left off Steve Sylvia, your principal. He's been amazing. He's been fantastic to work with, very cooperative, very knowledgeable. He surprised me. Just an intelligent man. This just isn't his world, and he's very familiar with it. But we've all kind of come to agreement that between now and June, the release of school this spring, is going to be the most chaotic for the building occupants, for the staff, for the parents for the drop-off, for the bus drivers, for the neighbors, for the people trying to get past this place. And that's owing largely to the undergrounding of the electrical infrastructure. To widen Mayflower, to widen Huckins, we have to take the poles down. We're not going to relocate them and put the wires overhead again. And part of the vulnerability assessment and resiliency plan is to underground those wires. So they're going underground in the footprint of what is currently the sidewalk, which will then be part of the street once the sidewalks are moved back. So they're starting in the back, started yesterday, doing the temporary parking for teachers because they can't park up the hill once the electric project begins in earnest. And they're going to be chasing themselves around the perimeter, all four sides of this building. And with that, the parent drop-off zones are going to change, bus drop-off and pickup zones are going to change, staff parking locations are going to change, and everyone's going to be confused. And we apologize for that. We've planned to the best of our ability to do that. We have graphics showing. We will put the word out prior to each change in a timely way. We will share the diagrams of those new locations as we go, but it's not going to be smooth, and we know that. And I think every one of you would call me a liar if I said it was going to be smooth. We're just asking for your cooperation. We're asking for your understanding. We're asking you not to park in front of your neighbors' driveways. And through it, we will get together. When we get to June, I promise you, September and the next 2 years of construction will be less impactful than the next 6 months are going to be. So if we get through that together, we'll be in a good place. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to turn it over to Brian LaRoche with PCA 360, and he'll take it from here.
As you can see from our diagram here, we've accomplished an awful lot, and as Councilor Harris said, it's been going on long before I even got involved. So the project schedule that we had was pretty aggressive. With the city's cooperation, City Council appropriated funds early, allowed us to move up the project schedule about 4 months. And so thankfully I can report to you at this point that is held, and the project continues to stay on a pretty aggressive schedule, and everything is shaping up for the work to begin at the beginning of the school year in September. So just this last few months, we've been running what we call the design development phase. And that's where the design has really evolved, and you're going to see in a little while some of the interior renderings that you haven't seen before and really see how the school is shaping up. While we've been doing that, we have been working with the MSBA to get the project approved. That's about $38 million that the state is going to be contributing towards this project. They're big stakeholders, so we needed to make sure that they were happy with where we were with the project. So I can tell you that their board approved the project on October 30, and since then we have been continuing to work with them, and just yesterday we delivered to the mayor's office the project funding agreement. So that's the last step, and it's a very major milestone for the project at this point. So we are now moved into construction documents. We're getting the project ready to go out to bid. So by July, mid-July, we'll be going out to bid on the full big project. But before then, we're going to be doing some other procurements. We're going to be buying out some of the early work that we have to do to prepare the school for this summer. So that work's going to go out early. Lee Kennedy is going to buy the electrical equipment for the school that will be operating in September. We have to go out early with that. So all those things are happening right now. So everything's falling into place, so we're pretty happy to report that. So on this schedule here, the very last line, the enablement work, that is bringing in the modulars, and then we're going to be preparing the 1971 wing, which will be the home for the students for the next couple of years while the new building is being built. So we'll get into that in a little bit with the sequencing drawing. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Arrow Street to give you a presentation on the design of the school where we are, and then we'll pick it up again after that and talk about the sequence.
We're, as Brian had mentioned, we're embarking the construction document phase, so this is a very exciting part of the phase because we really get down to sort of the nitty-gritty details of the design of the project. A lot of it has to do with selecting some of the healthy materials that's going to be in the building that really creates a healthy indoor environment. We are on target for having a green building, all electric. We're targeting net zero, and part of the reasons for that is part of the city's goal. As you'll see a lot of things happening at this point, but one of the things that was mentioned by Paul is that we are preserving a lot of the trees as much as possible. Open space and green space is very much important part of the design, as well as circulation. So some of the new circulations that you'll be seeing at the end of the day really is that there's going to be ample staff parking, separated and safe circulation with bus and van, as well as parent drop-off. But not only that, but a lot of walkers as well. So there's going to be some adjustments to the crosswalks that will allow for safe arrival as well as dismissal from the school. Accessibility is part of the design, stormwater, and as well as preserving the parkland. So there are some upgrades and improvements that are going to be part of the project that you'll start to see in this plan here. And throughout, where part of it is also going to be maintaining the existing playground. As mentioned, a good portion of the playground, as well as the park, will remain open during construction. The floor plan here, I won't get into any of the details, but I wanted to just mention throughout the design process in the last 6 months, it's been very collaborative with the city, with the school department, as well as public buildings, and many city departments. Refinement of the spaces continues to provide 21st century learning. Community, this being a community center, as mentioned, is very important. We've laid out the plan where it's ease of use, ease of entry and exit in terms of the community spaces, whether it's the cafetorium or the gymnasium, as well as the media center. Also highly valued is the 1919 historic facade of this existing school, which we've very much paid attention to and understand that it plays a very important part of this project. The second floor consists mainly of the classroom wing, so additional classrooms, as well as special education. It has, being on the second floor, it has nice views to the surrounding community, to the surrounding neighborhood, but also overlooking into the interior courtyard. There is a partial basement, which mainly consists of mechanical, custodial, and storage space. So some of the exterior views that you may have seen from the presentation over the summer, as you can see the entrance here, this is the main entrance and it pays respect to the 1919 building. This is a view looking from the bus drop-off. We've maintained the scale in terms of the residential neighborhood. So this and providing some sloped roofs, as well as texture to the materials that we have selected, representing shingle siding. This is actually a durable material, which is a terracotta material that we've selected. Additionally, that we're familiar with is the brick material that plays in as part of the 1919 building, which consists of the brick that we'll maintain, as well as adding some warmth in terms of color, whether it's some wood look materials or metal panel that has a warm color to it. Here's another view. This is actually from Mayflower, again, maintaining some of the sloped roofs to have that residential feel. This is the entrance actually looking from the north, so a good portion of the parent drop-off, as well as ease of access between the school and the park. And then to the left of that, what you see is a part of the gym, and also having that synergy between the gym activities and the park was important. These are some of the interior views. So these are some new views that you may have not seen before as part of this public meeting and presentation. As you come through, what you'll see is that you'll get a glimpse of that interior courtyard, but it also opens up to some of the main corridors that will take you through the school, that will give you access to the cafeteria as well as to the gym. Here's another view looking in the other direction, having a second floor. This actually is a double height space that really visually as well as physically connects the two floors. The media center, or what you might think of as a library, takes place in the 1919 building. We're actually reconstructing the roof, but is going to maintain the same historic look that's currently there. We're opening up the ceiling so it has this nice big feel, but this will also serve as a community space. Here's a view of the cafeteria. We'll continue to develop this, but this is a cafetorium really, so it will serve as your lunch space, but flexible space as well as performance for the student and the community. And finally, we have a view of the gym. This is going to be a nice big space. It's actually going to be a bit larger than the space that you're in currently, but it serves the elementary students as well as the community. Additionally, as Paul had mentioned, this is very much a community center, part of the features that we've incorporated into this building, that it would be a resiliency hub. So for example, on whether it's bad weather days, whether there's a storm or a power outage, or even heat waves, this building would be open to the public for those resources. And at this point, I'm going to be turning it over to Joe Shea from Granite City Partners.
And I drew the short straw tonight because I have a number of pretty pictures that are the chaos that Commissioner Hines had described. We were involved last summer with the water main replacement, the drain line project that went all the way up to Pratt, with the sewer lining, and we want to thank you all for your patience through that. That was easy compared to the next couple months. We've made some very pretty drawings that will be online so people can digest them, but it's going to be a very busy time. So what you're going to look at is the next 2 or 3 phases broken up into a month or 2 months to get us to the point where all of the infrastructure is completed and we are out of the way of the school project. The temporary classrooms can come in. Again, very easy to say, very easy to put on nice drawings with square boxes and arrows, but it's a lot of work, and we'll ask for your patience again. As indicated, electrical work, which is shown here in red, has begun. It began yesterday, and the project is going to be installing new electrical systems both for street lighting, for Huckins Ave and Squantum, but also in harmony with the electrical systems of the school. Future street lights will be built to be in harmony with the neighborhood, but also built in alignment with the pedestrian grade lights from the school. I bring these up now so we don't have to do a deep dive, but I want to encourage you all to look online to see this information and see how the school and the neighborhood will come together from a DPW and a school or public building standpoint. When the electrical work continues to move in earnest, we will be behind the school over the next month and a half. We can say, that's great, Huckins. We're not on Huckins, but we all know the gas company is on Huckins. So we have done our best to make sure that we are keeping lanes open while multiple vendors or contractors work on different pieces of infrastructure. And although they don't conflict with each other, they're not in the same spot at the same time. For those who need to drive around the neighborhood, we will absolutely do our best to keep roads open, keep lanes passing. But sometimes that's a day-to-day decision based upon what the contractor needs to do. You have already endured it. Last summer, it will be similar. The red is the electrical work behind the school that is beginning. The temporary parking that was just started to be installed for teachers is shown in blue. And the boxes in green talk about the school and the playground. As we continue to evolve through our electrical work and all of the project, it is the goal to keep the playground open. However, the entrance to the playground is going to be moved temporarily to Standish, so that while electrical work is going on, the current ramp will be closed and fenced off. All of the bricks, if some of you happen to have engraved bricks at the playground, those are all going to be stacked and stored and then replaced as part of the future project, have no fear. But this is a good example of some of the temporary measures that will be taken while we move around the project with our infrastructure and eventually the school. I'm sorry, was that busing? Okay, excellent. I'm afraid to go back.
Layered in notes, so just when you advance, the information shows up.
Perfect, thank you. So continuing, a very important point that just arrived, it's mustard or yellow. It is the school bus drop-off configuration. This also will be evolving over the course of the next few months. We do not expect anybody to memorize that in January and February I've got to go here, and then in March I've got to go there. This will be on the public access website. It will be rinsed and repeated. It'll be communicated often. But while the electrical work is being done and the roadway behind us, shown in red, is closed, the bus drop-off and pickup will be on Standish. Also, while the electrical work is being done and the Standish access will be closed, access off of Mayflower will be turned into a cul-de-sac. You can see a yellow arrow, so people can pull in, do a U-turn, and pull back out. Again, easy to draw. It will take some patience. It will take some time to understand the configuration. There at times will be some queuing and some confusion, but we feel that we have laid out the best scenario we can lay out to accommodate all of the needs and make sure that the children are safe, whether they're arriving on a bus or whether they're arriving in a car. Parent parking. We also will be continuing to work to try to maintain zones for parents to drop off. You will notice there are no blue boxes in front of your neighbors' houses on all of the finger streets that come down to Huckins. Please stay within these blue boxes for drop-off. We know that is a lot to ask because there will be congestion. But as we go through these slides, this color convention will continue, that as we move the buses and the parents around from where we would request drop-off and pick-up to be, parent drop-off and pick-up will be in the blue boxes. When we get through January and we enter February, and the electrical work behind us is completed, we will then be stepping out with electrical work onto Standish. That is the red bar. We will still be using a storage space, very similar to last fall, for all of the electrical equipment and materials that we need. And this is the time when, if the park is impacted for access, it will be during this small time when we're doing electrical work immediately adjacent to the park. The buses and pickup and drop-off during this period of time will be very similar to what currently happens today. We've worked with the city's traffic department regarding when Standish is under construction, the buses will either come out and take a left or a right, depending upon which side the contractor's on. Parent parking, drop-off and pickup will be the same as the previous phase. And then we'll finally make it to March. In March, we will be done behind the school with the electrical undergrounding. We will be done on Standish. We will be headed over to Mayflower. When that occurs, vehicle access will be blocked on the Standish side to make sure that no cars try to go through to where they can't get out. The school will certainly, the playground will clearly be open, at this point in time. The bus drop-off and pickup in March will be the same as it is today, and parent drop-off and pickup will be similar, except for Mayflower will be blocked up. Then we get to March and April. This is the tough one. This is when we will be in Huckins again, the main thoroughfare. So we're not just going to be talking to you as some of the abutting parents right around the school. We're going to talk about talking to everybody who goes up and down Huckins. While we were working there, the roadway behind us will be open. School bus drop-off and pickup will be the same. Parent drop-off and pickup will be on the back side of the parcel. We're going to ask for the children to come across the park for drop-off and pickup, because the school buses will be in the roadway behind us. That will get us through the electrical undergrounding. The gas work will be done. When we get through April, from a DPW standpoint, we feel that all of the heavy infrastructure will be in the ground. Streetlights and other lighter infrastructure will still be done. But at that point, we'll be, from a DPW standpoint, stepping out of the way, and the school project will be beginning in earnest in May and June. That work will continue. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Brian LaRoche of PCA 360. And here I want to be clear, we have now pivoted. Electrical is no longer red. That's now geothermal. Go get it.
So in the months of May and June, we are going to be working on two different projects. On the Mayflower side of the site, they're going to be beginning the drilling for the geothermal well field. and that work will be going on the playground in the area delineated in red. And then behind the 1971 wing of the school, on the right, we're going to be putting the foundations in for the modular classroom and also putting in the utilities to support that temporary school. So during the month of May and June, we're going to also have to limit access behind the school as we did in the first phase of the undergrounding project. And we'll do the same thing for the bus and pickup and drop-off area. The large buses will be on Standish, and then the smaller buses for the special education program will continue to drop off at the rear of the school as they do. And I think it's important to note that the students in that program, their pickup and drop-off routine will not change throughout the course of the work that we're planning over the next 6 months. And so the only one that's really changing at times will be where the large buses drop off. And then parent parking, as we did before, along Mayflower, Park Ave, and on Huckins. Then we move into the summer, and that's when the construction fence will go up around the future new school project. The division between the construction area and the temporary school, that barrier will go up, which is a large 8-foot fence. It's going to have an acoustic barrier on it. The construction area will be fully contained and separated from the temporary school. So over the summer, Lee Kennedy will be preparing the 1971 wing. There's quite a bit of work we have to do the interior of it to prepare it for the future temporary school. And then the modular classrooms are going to get connected into the building, the connector going in. They'll be fitted out fire alarm and sprinkler systems. And all that will be ready for the start of the school year in September. So when students come back, they'll be on one side of the site, and construction will be on the other, and the two will be separated, and that's how we'll keep things safe. But during the course of construction, there'll be deliveries coming in and off the site. Those will be coordinated to make sure that there's no movement of vehicles in or out of the site during pickup and drop-off. That worked really well when we worked in the Southwest Middle School project. That too had a project that was very close. The new construction and the other one at times were only a few feet apart. So we'll follow a similar thing that was successful over at that project. And then similar, at this point, parent parking will be available on Huckins. It'll be widened. Over the summer, those spaces will be created, it'll be widened, so we'll be able to have that available for parents to park and then use Park Ave as well. And then in the fall, when the new project begins, in the fall when it's all done, the new school will be open. We'll be working to remove the 1971 building, remove the modular classrooms. This is after the new building is complete. Students return in the fall. They'll move into the new building, and then it's going to take us another 4 or 5 months to remove the existing building and prepare what will be the future parking, staff parking area in the bus and drop-off area. And then during the warmer weather, at the end, the last thing will be to prepare and restore the parkland, because portions of the parkland are going to be used for the geothermal well field. They're going to have the construction trailers on them. They're going to be used for the laydown area. But as Commissioner Hines had mentioned, we are working to keep that playground open, the courts open, and a good portion of the field will remain open during construction. That was very important. It's a critical parkland to the community. They need that, so that will be available. And then the playground as well, the existing playground will remain open as much as possible throughout the construction. I think the only impact that we're receiving at this time is a little bit of during the electrical undergrounding work. There's some equipment that's going to be put close to the park, and at times we'll have to close that down. So with that, we have a project website. We keep it updated. I would encourage you, if you want to be notified, we're going to be creating notices weekly during the next 6 months, notifying of the progress of the undergrounding project and the work we have. So if you go to the website, there's a Contact Us tab. Send us your email address, and we'll put you in the database, and we'll send out an email blast. Principal Sylvia is also going to be, for all the parents, will get that email through the school's notification system. But the website, we will be making an effort to keep as much information available on there so that you can stay informed. This presentation will be posted up there tomorrow. All of the presentations that we've given throughout this project are on the website too. The major submissions to the MSBA, which are extensive, 300-400 pages, they're also on the website. So any information you want to know about the project is there. But you also have there's a frequently asked question tab, and in there you can ask any question at all, and we'll answer that. We've had some questions already come in, and we provided answers. So please, that's there for you. It's a tool that we can use to keep you informed.